Hey guys, I'm Seth. Meet Simmons back with another video. Today we got a video from comedian Ali Sadiq. He is actually one of my favorite comedians. He's a great storyteller. But today he's telling a story, but it's a real story. It's about his father. And he addressed some things that I think we have to really take into account, especially as men. So here we go.
Pops until he passed. Settled all his debts. Defending him, everything, and I still to this day never understood how could you walk away from somebody who looks just like you, yo? Like, just the idea of walking away from my son and my kids, just the idea does something to me like that. I don't think it's nothing that my mom could have did that was impactful to me to even think about. Did my dad, did you look at me when you left? Did you think about me? Yo, dude, what is your deal that you could, yo, man? And I took care of this man. Took care of him, loved him to no end. Because I'm like, yo, I'm going to be your pops.
It's pretty impactful, and it's very sad. And that man, Ali Sadiq, is 51 years old. He's 51. That shows you how deep those wounds can go. That shows you how deep. And it's shameful that I will see people, men and women, tell their kids, just get over it. You just got to get over it. Something that deep as a paternal relationship, you never get over that because you never feel good enough. And I've spoken to men over the years that have the same situation.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get over the fact that your dad one day got up and walked out the house and for whatever reason or another decided it was no longer you were no longer worth fighting for. Now, there's a lot to that story. And a lot of that story gets pushed aside and we know all the narratives and things like that. But that, in the essence, in a child's mind, that is forever burned into that. And this man is 51 years old. He's still struggling with this fact that man got up one day, looked at him in the crib or on the floor playing at whatever age he was when he left, and decided, I can't do it. He's not worth fighting for. That's what it sounds like to a child. Now, we all know there's a lot more to the story, more than likely, but these things happen.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I just think that when you're young and in a relationship, whether you're, let's say you're in your teens or in your 20s or however old you are, but when you're in a relationship and you're in the type of relationship where you actually create a child, whether it's a marriage or whether it's some sort of commitment or whether it's a one-night stand, doesn't matter. I don't think we realize how detrimental parental wounds are. And I'm a living witness that those parental wounds follow you until you truly deal with them. And even when you start unpacking it and peeling back the layers of the trauma and the pain and the hurt and all of the disappointment, to reconcile rejection and abandonment from a parent is like no other rejection and abandonment, because those are the people that are supposed to love you. Those are the people that are supposed to nurture and care for you and provide for you and all those things. But when they don't and they reject you or abandon you for whatever reason because they got their own stuff going on, whether it's an addiction, whether it's just selfishness, whatever it is, those parental wounds follow you. You see this man at 51 still tearing up, crying as he's reliving what happened to him as a young man. And it's something else when that parent has wounded you and you have to be their caregiver.
Ooh, yeah.
My story. I'm telling you, there is nothing more sobering and humbling than having to care for the one that wounded you.
Yes.
And I would just encourage anyone, if this is your story, if this is something that you've experienced, don't just try to sweep it under the rug. This is something you have to deal with because it is affecting your marriage if you're married. It's affecting your relationship, all relationships. It's affecting you as a parent. So you have to deal with those wounds, because if not, those wounds continue to deal with you and it shows up in so many unhealthy ways. So I applaud him for being honest and having the courage to share his story. But I'm hoping that you guys watching, if this is you, get after it. Start doing the work so that you can heal.
Yeah. And people that may not know much about Ali Sadiq, he actually spent time in prison, which is where he got his start doing stand-up and things like that. And he actually would go back to prisons and do stand-up for the inmates there. There's so many things behind this, and there's a lot to this story that we'll probably never know.
Yeah.
But the truth is that when a parent leaves, I don't care if it's mom or dad, it leaves an indelible mark on that child. And we can no longer act like and tell people that we offended or wounded that they need to just get over it. And I really, really, really abhor that about, especially in our community. We have this thing where we just sweep up under the rug and we act like it didn't happen and we never apologize and we can't humble ourselves and we can't say I was wrong. Hey, we all have made mistakes in life, but you have this thing that you can do, that you can at least try to apologize, try to make amends. And if that person chooses to accept it when they don't accept it, that's on them.
Yeah.
But you can't act like it didn't happen and then expect that person just to be okay with it. I see on a weekly basis broken people and broken men in particular over things that happened to them in their childhood. And I can't look that man in the eye and say, you need to get over it. I can give him tools, techniques, things to work through it. But in order to truly get past something, there has to be closure. And sometimes the best closure in the world is, I'm sorry. Most times you're not going to get that though. So the best closure in the world you can get is to become the best person that you can be. I realize that you didn't deserve those things that happened to you and try to move forward. But for that, typically what I've seen, especially even in my own marriage and our relationship, and I'll be honest, my wife is a caregiver to the parent that hurt her the most, and that individual's response to everything is just get over it. That's a reopening of a wound.
Yeah.
That's a reopening of a wound when the person who hurt you the most tells you to get over it, and I did it, and so what? That's a reopening of a wound.
I have constantly and still have to tell adult people a lot of times, a lot of the ladies that I mentor and coach, sometimes the only thing that your parents did was get you here. They were the vehicles that allowed you to be here on planet Earth. And now that you're here, you have to get after doing your work of healing. And sometimes they're looking like, what do you mean by that? Well, like you were saying, you may never get the I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because they're so full of pride that they're not willing to humble themselves to say, you know what, son, I wronged you. I was not the dad that you needed. I am so sorry. You know what, daughter? I am not, I wasn't the father to you or the mother to you, or son, I wasn't the mother to you. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You may never get that apology. You may never get it. And if you're waiting for it, you're staying stuck and in bondage as you wait for that parent to die with the lie, because they're not going to do it. So you're going to have to reconcile within yourself and say, you know what? You got me here. And you're not easy to love. But you know what? I'm still going to love you. Even if I have to draw boundary lines or create distance and love you from a distance to protect myself and my family, then that's what I'll do. So I just want to encourage you. You may never get the I'm sorry. And I had to reconcile the thing I was waiting for. They didn't have the capacity to do or give.
They just don't.
So I had to see my parents' humanity, and I had to accept that they're humans and broken and all of that. And that's how I was able to heal. So I encourage you, if you're struggling and stuck and waiting for that parent to apologize, you may never get it. It may be a sibling that you're not in good relationship with. It might be, someone that you care about. You may still just be waiting. So why not do the work to heal and forgive and release it and let it go?
And at the end of the video, he says, I'm gonna be your pops.
Yeah.
So basically, he took care of his father until his father passed away and made sure he had everything he needed. So he used that as a healing tool for himself. He took care of him. He's like, I'm gonna show you how it's done. I'm gonna make sure that everybody around me has what they need. I'm gonna show you how it's done. And he actually was gracious enough, because he didn't owe his father that.
Yeah.
To bring his father into the fold and take care of him. That's honoring that.
Yeah.
That's honoring that.
Yeah.
And to you people who will never get there, I'm sorry. Build what you didn't have.
That's right.
That's the best thing. That's the best thing you could do, is build what you didn't have. If your parent or your family is just no good and they did this, and this, and this, and this, you have an opportunity to build what you didn't have. in your children, in your wife, in your little family there, and that generation will just, I'm a product of this. I'm a product of it. My father stopped the abuse. He stopped the cheating, the beating. He stopped all that stuff.
He sure did.
And now I'm sitting here in front of you, the author of 2 books, married for 23 years, never laid a finger on my wife, never stepped out on her, because when my father said no more.
That's right.
And you can do that. You have the opportunity to do that. You don't have to be what you came from.
That's right.
And so do it for the people that come after you. You may never get the closure.
Yeah.
But do it for the people that you love and the ones that you protect and you provide for every day, and give them what you didn't have. And with that, that's enough said.